Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Ryan was at home that Thursday morning, working remotely like he did 3 days a week. The routine was comforting: strong coffee, laptop on the living room table, Jennifer heading out for her errands while he dove into spreadsheets and reports. Their 12-year marriage had its ups and downs, like any other, but Ryan considered Jennifer his best friend, his life partner. They'd built a solid life together: a comfortable house in a quiet neighborhood, annual trips, weekend family dinners. Nothing suggested that morning would change absolutely everything. The phone vibrated on the table at 10:40 a.m. Ryan was focused on a complex report and picked it up absently, expecting a message from the office or maybe the grocery store confirming a delivery. The screen showed a notification from Jennifer. He swiped to read, and the words cut through his chest like shards of ice. "Left already, meet you at the usual place, gotta be quick, my husband's home." Ryan blinked several times, trying to process. He reread the message. Then read it again. His brain refused to accept the obvious meaning of those words. The message clearly wasn't meant for him. Jennifer had left the house 15 minutes earlier, casually saying she was going to the grocery store and maybe stopping by the pharmacy. She'd kissed the top of his head as she left, just like always. Nothing different, nothing suspicious. Except now there was this message. "My husband's home." She was talking about him. To someone else. Ryan's hands started shaking. He stood up, walked to the front window, and confirmed what he already knew: her car wasn't in the garage. She'd really left. She was going to meet someone. The usual place. That meant it wasn't the first time. There was a pattern, a routine of secret meetings. While he worked from home, confident and carefree, Jennifer had a parallel life he'd never imagined. Ryan went back to the table and picked up her phone, still on the lock screen. He waited. No correction came, no, it was a mistake, love, or any other innocent explanation. Just silence. His mind began replaying the last few months with brutal clarity. The trips to the grocery store that took 2 hours. The times Jennifer came home with only 2 or 3 bags after being out so long. The immediate showers after arriving. The phone that now lived permanently beside her, always screen down. The passwords that had changed without explanation. How had he not noticed before? But there was something Jennifer didn't know. 3 months ago, when vague, undefined suspicion started nagging at Ryan, he'd installed a discreet GPS tracker on her car. It wasn't about pride, but he couldn't ignore the persistent gut feeling that something was wrong. Now, fingers barely obeying his commands, Ryan opened the tracking app on his own phone. The blue dot blinked in a location that made his stomach turn: a cheap motel on the edge of town, 20 minutes away. She was there right now. With someone. Ryan didn't think. He grabbed the keys to the second car they kept for emergencies, a gray sedan Jennifer rarely saw him use. He left the house in under 2 minutes, still in sweatpants and a t-shirt, not caring how he looked. Throughout the drive, his mind swung between denial and rage. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe it was some absurd misunderstanding. But deep down, where truth can't be hidden, he knew. He knew with a painful, absolute certainty. The motel parking lot was exactly the kind of place designed for dirty secrets: cracked asphalt, peeling paint on the doors, neon signs dim even in daylight. Ryan parked 3 spaces to the right of Jennifer's car and his heart nearly stopped when he saw the vehicle next to hers. A black sedan he knew well. Very well. It was Blake's car. Jennifer's cousin. Blake, who showed up at every family barbecue. Blake, who played cards with Ryan on Saturday nights. Blake, who'd been married to Sarah for 8 years and had 2 young daughters. Blake, whom Ryan considered part of the extended family and trusted completely. Ryan turned off the engine and sat there watching. Minutes dragged like hours. He checked his watch: 10:58. The message said, "Gotta be quick." How long was quick for two people to destroy a family? 15 minutes? Half an hour? He waited, the anger building like a black tide inside his chest, mixed with a pain so deep he could barely breathe. At 11:15, the door to room 17 opened. Jennifer stepped out first, pulling her hair into a ponytail, wearing the same workout clothes she always did. She glanced around quickly before descending the 3 steps. Blake followed right behind, tall and casual, adjusting his belt. They stood near the door for a moment, talking softly. Then Blake pulled Jennifer by the waist and kissed her. It wasn't a quick or chaste kiss. It was long, intimate, familiar. The kind of kiss that comes from practice, repetition, a connection established. Ryan felt something break inside him. Not a dramatic explosion, it was more like the muffled sound of glass shattering in another room. He picked up his phone and started recording. He captured Jennifer and Blake reluctantly parting, getting into their respective cars, waving one last goodbye through the windows. Only then did Ryan start the engine. He waited for Jennifer to leave first, giving her enough time to head toward some grocery store where she'd finally pick up the excuse she needed. Then Ryan blocked the parking lot exit with his car, right in front of Blake's black sedan. He got out, walked over to the driver's window, and tapped on the glass with his knuckles. 3 sharp, firm knocks. Blake was scrolling on his phone and looked up lazily. When he saw Ryan, all the color drained from his face. Literally. He went white as paper. His mouth opened in silent shock. Ryan gestured for him to roll down the window. Blake obeyed, fingers trembling. "Hey, Blake," Ryan said, and his own voice sounded strange to him, too calm, too cold. "You got a minute?" "Ryan, this isn't." "I can explain," Blake stammered, words tripping over each other. "Explain what?" "That you're sleeping with my wife while I work from home? That you're cheating on your own wife and your 2 daughters with your cousin? That you're welcomed into my home, eat at my table, and then come to this dump to meet Jennifer?" Ryan spoke quietly, but each word cut like a blade. "Please, Blake, explain it to me. I'm genuinely curious." Blake started sweating visibly. It was a mistake, man. It just happened, Anne." "How many times?" "What? How many times, Blake?" Ryan repeated, holding up his phone to show it was recording. Her message said the usual place. "So this is routine. How long?" Blake closed his eyes, defeated. 8 months, he whispered. "Started at the July barbecue. We were drinking, and one thing led to another. 8 months. Almost a year." Ryan had to grip the car door to keep from staggering. 8 months of lies, of hollow goodnight kisses, of empty "I love yous." 8 months of being made a fool. "You have 2 hours, Ryan said, his voice regaining its firmness. 2 hours to tell Sarah what you did. If you don't, I will. And I'm sending this video with it. Your choice, Blake. But if I were you, I'd start driving straight home right now." Blake tried to speak, opened and closed his mouth like a fish out of water, but Ryan was already walking back to his car. There was nothing left to say. He reversed, cleared the exit, and drove out of the parking lot without looking back. The drive home was a blur. Ryan couldn't think straight, couldn't feel anything but a vast, icy emptiness. When he got there, he parked in the garage and just sat in the car for long minutes, trying to piece himself back together. Finally, he went inside. Grabbed the laptop. Looked up divorce lawyers. Read reviews. Chose the one who seemed most aggressive and efficient. Sent a detailed email explaining the situation and requesting an urgent consultation. All of it on autopilot, his body functioning while his mind floated somewhere far away. Jennifer got home at 2 p.m., carrying grocery bags and humming softly. Ryan was sitting on the living room sofa, laptop open on his lap. She walked in smiling, that smile he'd loved for 12 years, and now seemed the cruelest mask in the world. "Hi, love. Took a bit longer, but I got everything we needed. The store was packed today." She started putting groceries away in the kitchen, still chatting about sales and people she'd run into. Ryan didn't respond. He just turned the laptop toward her. On the screen, the video of Jennifer and Blake in the motel parking lot, the kiss, the intimate goodbye. Jennifer froze, a box of cereal in her hand. Her eyes locked on the screen, then went to Ryan, then back to the screen. The cereal box slipped from her fingers and hit the floor with a dull thud. "Ryan," her voice came out as a thread, almost inaudible. 8 months, Ryan said. Not a question. 8 months with Blake. Every Thursday morning, when I work from home. The usual place. Your message was meant for me by accident, in case you were wondering. Jennifer collapsed. Literally dropped to her knees on the kitchen floor, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, it was a terrible mistake, I don't even know what happened to me, please Ryan, please." "No," he interrupted, his voice still that terrifying calm. "Don't do that. Don't turn this into something that happened to you, like you were a victim of circumstance. You chose. Every time. For 8 months. You chose to lie, to betray, to put my health at risk, to destroy our marriage. And Blake? Your own cousin. The father of 2 little girls. You chose that too." Jennifer kept crying, trying to crawl toward him, but Ryan stood up and stepped back. "I've already contacted a lawyer. Divorce proceedings start Monday. You can stay in the house until we reach an agreement, but I'm sleeping in the guest room. Don't touch me. Don't try to talk to me. It's over, Jennifer. Completely over." Then Ryan did something that, later, he'd recognize as equally cruel and necessary. He picked up his phone, opened Jennifer's family group chat, and posted screenshots of her messages with Blake. Explicit texts, declarations of love, plans for meetings. He included the parking lot video. He wrote just one line, "I thought everyone should know the truth about Jennifer and Blake." The phone exploded within seconds. Calls, messages, voice notes from outraged relatives. Ryan blocked them all. He sent the same screenshots to Sarah, Blake's wife, with an audio message, "Sarah, I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. But you deserve to know who you're married to." Jennifer was hysterical now, screaming that he'd destroyed her, that he had no right to expose her like that he was vengeful and cruel. Ryan just looked at her and said, "I didn't destroy you. You destroyed yourself. I just turned on the light." That night, while Jennifer locked herself in the bedroom sobbing uncontrollably, the doorbell rang. Ryan opened the door and found Sarah, Blake's wife, eyes red but face determined. "Can I come in?" she asked. They sat in the living room. Sarah trembled slightly as she placed a folder on the coffee table. "Blake confessed everything after you confronted him. But there's more. Much more." She opened the folder and started showing documents. "Blake is in debt from gambling. Over $80,000. I found out when the bank called threatening to foreclose on our house." Ryan flipped through the papers, not yet understanding where this was going. Sarah continued, her voice growing firmer with anger, "I dug deeper. Blake was using Jennifer. He made her believe they'd have a future together, that he'd leave everything for her. But what he really wanted was access to your money." She pulled out more documents, bank statements. Ryan recognized the joint account he'd shared with Jennifer. Highlighted in yellow were transfers he'd never authorized, or even seen. Small amounts at first, 500 here, 1,000 there. Then bigger ones. 5,000. 10,000. 15,000. added up to $43,000 over 6 months. Jennifer was transferring this money to an account she thought was an investment, Sarah explained. Blake told her he was multiplying it for when they ran away together. She actually believed it. But the money went straight to loan sharks and online betting. Blake never intended to leave his family. He just needed a gullible, lovesick fool to bleed. Ryan was stunned. The betrayal was devastating, but this was another layer of horror. Jennifer wasn't just unfaithful, she was an accomplice in theft. And she hadn't even known. "I want you to use this in the divorce," Sarah said, gathering the papers. "She deserves to pay for all of it. And Blake too. I already have a lawyer. I'm going to strip that son of a bitch of everything he has." Ryan thanked Sarah. When she left, he went upstairs to the master bedroom where Jennifer was still crying. He knocked, then walked in without waiting for a reply. He tossed the documents onto the bed. $43,000, he said. "You gave $43,000 of our money to Blake." "For what, Jennifer? So you two could run off to the sunset?" Jennifer looked at the papers and paled even further, if that was possible. He said it was an investment, that it would give us security." "He lied. He used you. The money went to pay off gambling debts. Congratulations. You weren't just an unfaithful wife. You were an unfaithful and stupid wife." Ryan left the room before he could say something even worse. The next 3 months were bureaucratic and exhausting. Ryan's lawyer was relentless. With proof of infidelity and misappropriation of marital assets, Jennifer had no defense. The judge granted the divorce, with Ryan keeping the house and 80% of the assets. Jennifer was ordered to repay half of the $43,000 she'd transferred. Since she didn't have the money, she became deeply indebted. Jennifer's family completely cut her off. Her mother called Ryan once to apologize, saying she was ashamed and that Jennifer was no longer welcome at family gatherings. Blake was publicly exposed in a viral post Sarah made on social media, with screenshots, videos, and the full story. He lost friends, community trust, and Sarah destroyed him in the divorce, keeping the daughters, the house, and a heavy alimony. Jennifer had to move into a tiny apartment on the other side of town, sharing with a coworker. Her social circle evaporated. No one wanted to be associated with the woman who cheated on her husband with her own cousin, and was dumb enough to get robbed in the process. Ryan, on the other hand, started therapy. He processed the pain, the betrayal, the feeling of having been deceived for so long. It took 6 months before he felt even minimally whole again. After 8 months, he started dating again. Nothing serious at first, just casual dinners, learning to trust again in small steps. It was a Saturday afternoon, almost a year after everything, when Ryan was at a new cafe downtown with Amanda, a woman he'd met through mutual friends. They were laughing about some silly story when Ryan looked up and froze. Jennifer was across the cafe, waiting in line for her takeout order. She saw him at the same moment. The transformation was shocking. Jennifer was 20 pounds thinner, not in a healthy way. Her face was gaunt, deep dark circles marking her skin. Her hair, once always neatly styled, was tied in a messy bun. She wore simple, faded clothes. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in 12 months. Jennifer started walking toward the table, eyes filled with something between desperation and hope. Ryan simply turned to Amanda and kept talking, as if Jennifer were just another stranger. When Jennifer got close enough to speak, Ryan finally looked at her with the most neutral expression possible and gave a slight nod, like he would to a distant acquaintance he barely recognized. "Ryan, Jennifer began, her voice breaking. "Sorry, do I know you?" Ryan asked, genuinely polite but distant. Amanda looked between the two, confused. Jennifer blinked, tears instantly welling in her eyes. We were. Oh, right. Now I remember," Ryan interrupted gently. But that was another life. Have a good day. And then he turned fully back to Amanda, picking up the story he'd been telling about a trip they planned to take. Jennifer stood there for 5 more eternal seconds, then walked out of the cafe without picking up her order, shoulders slumped in defeat. Ryan didn't look back. He didn't feel triumph. He didn't feel pity. He felt only a peaceful indifference, as if that woman truly were just a stranger who'd briefly crossed his path. Amanda touched his hand on the table. "Are you okay?" Ryan smiled, and it was a real smile. "I am. For the first time in a long time, I'm really okay." And it was true. Jennifer had tried to destroy his life, but in the process, she'd only destroyed her own. Blake had lost everything trying to play both sides at once. Meanwhile, Ryan had walked through fire and come out the other side stronger, wiser, and finally free of the weight of a marriage built on lies. Life had exacted from Jennifer and Blake exactly what they owed. And Ryan, finally, could move forward without carrying the chains of the past. He'd learned that some people don't deserve second chances, that trusting again is possible after choosing the right people, and that sometimes the best revenge is simply being happy while those who hurt you reap the consequences of their own choices. 3 months later, Ryan heard through a mutual friend that Jennifer was working 2 jobs to pay off debts, living alone, with no close family and no prospects of rebuilding the life she'd thrown away. Blake was in the same situation, sued by Sarah and socially ostracized. Ryan didn't feel joy hearing the news. Just a silent nod to the universe, acknowledging that justice sometimes works exactly as it should. And when Amanda got pregnant and accepted his marriage proposal months later, Ryan knew with absolute certainty that he'd left the past where it belonged, buried, forgotten, and completely irrelevant to the bright future unfolding before him. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.